anyway, like some of these have gone beyond like my followers, right? So most recently, like I actually just posted one this morning as we are recording, but as of April 8th, certainly the highest performing video I've had thus far is this announcement of the Richard B. Hayes book, which we're going to talk about in a second. And it's about a gay-affirming approach, a biblical approach from a guy who's really well known for having been sort of one of the only non-affirming scholars that was also in general taken seriously beyond like evangelical or Catholic circles or something like that. So I did mention like that millstone comment, I think last month, that was like the worst one that I had gotten from a review. But now, like, just doing the podcast for the last 5 years or so has actually shielded me from so much of this online discourse, if you want to call it that, because people are not going to go and listen to a 90-minute podcast episode by someone they disagree with. Like, it's too high of an ask, but they will comment on a 70-second video, especially one that gives a headline right at the beginning, so they don't even have to watch the video if they already know what they think. And this particular video Instagram tells me that it has reached about 3 times as many non-followers as it has reached followers. So this is like a big new group of people. And it's worth it because some of those people might be like, oh, what's this? Like, I might dig this guy's stuff, and then they might follow or find the podcast, which is the whole point. But plenty of people are not. And I need to take my own medicine here and like recognize that there is like a selection bias. There is the type of person. Let's say I have 100 comments of this type and like 12,000 people have watched it. That means we're dealing with, the 8% of people or whatever who would think that it would be a good use of their time to comment on this video that they disagree with. Okay. But a few examples from this one, which is, about queer inclusion. Wow, adding plagues, nice. Which I think means when God judges America, I am adding on to the plagues that God will send. I think that's what that comment meant. That's a kind of a new one for me logically. Quote, even the wise and elect will be deceived, unquote. Interesting. I at least like that she considers that I might be elect. That's a nice,
Or wise.
And then my favorite, I mentioned in the video a bunch of these sort of more moderate, but like very compassionate, and like you almost kind of wonder if they want to be affirming, but they can't quite get there. Of course, we don't know for sure. People like Greg Boyd, Preston Sprinkle, Andy Stanley, John Mark Comer. Those are the 4 I mentioned in the video. And these are guys, like pretty orthodox guys. And the one comment, the pastors you mentioned are not actually Christians.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just wild, guys. Like it's wild. I have not had to deal with this stuff. Tony, you have. You probably, this is an old hat for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's new for me.
Yeah, I mean, I get trolled all the time to this day. I don't know. I post something and somebody's like, "Well, you just continue leading people to hell." I mean, the episode that Josh and I released this morning of the Emerged podcast is all like audio and video clips of people saying stuff about us, myself included.
The backlash.
And then the backlash, and then we respond to it because it's, and we had John MacArthur and John Piper and D.A. Carson and, Christian radio shows. And so, I mean, all Instagram and Facebook and those things, Twitter it used to be more on Twitter, I think. I used to get it on Twitter all the time. And now it's crazy. Like, nobody even sees my tweets. I have 17,000 followers. Nobody sees my tweets. So good for you for doing it on Instagram because Twitter's dead. And and now the bar is so low for people to comment. Like back when I was blogging, at least you had to have a discuss. Remember DISQUS or whatever it was? You had to have a discuss account. And you'd have a little avatar, and you could comment on my blog or whatever. And now it's just everybody's got an Instagram account. The bar is so low for somebody to just fire off a comment.
Yeah,
so
I just blocked the guy because he put out like 8 comments in 3 minutes, all of which were whatever. I was like, I'm just going to block this guy.
Yeah.
And it was like the official Instagram handle for like a local business that had nothing to do with Christianity. But the guy's like, well, I'm just going to, hey, I'm at work, I guess. I'm going to go do. It's like, what the hell? Like,
That's
it's
crazy.
a truly low bar.
Nadia in the episode, real quick, she says 2 things. One is
Nadia Bolz-Weber
talks about how the internet is like the real life with all the forgiveness sucked out of it, vacuumed out of it, which is interesting.
Great line.
Yeah, that's a quote of someone else I can't remember.
That's from Dave Zoll. That's a quote from David Zoll, who runs
good.
Mockingbird.
And then the other thing she said is she thinks it's just as dangerous to get as much positive feedback online anonymously than it is to get negative feedback, which is interesting.
I think I would say it's more dangerous because the negative feedback is like it, the occasional comment might sting a little bit if some of the language gets to some insecurity or whatever, but it is like, for the most part, patently absurd and quite easy.
But Dan, here's another thing she said that you might have a little experience with. I have a lot of experience with.
Mm-hmm.
She does too. She said the criticism from the right, she's like, whatever, the joke writes itself from the right. When it comes from the left, that's when it hurts. Your own tribe. That's when it hurts.
True. That's true.